This is another Turbine Guy Network special investigative report. Folks, Turbine Guy coming back at you in front of Orono City Hall yet again with another report on our crazy council. This time with some news that shocks the libertarian soul of the Turbine Guy and hopefully will upset you as well. Now, I just sat through two different depositions, one from former Community Development Director and Code Enforcement Officer Brian Jeremy Barnhart of Orono, who now works at Burnsville. And the other one, the second, was from Investigative Sergeant Chad Stensrud, who is no longer with Orono. He's with the Robbinsdale Police now, but was one of 4 investigative sergeants, I believe, out here at the time that my wife and I were criminally charged with the evil doing of replacing a driveway. And what they said in their depositions really should concern all of us. Let's start with Barnhart. Barnhart, the man who had us criminally charged, not just me, but my wife as well, for failure to obtain a permit to replace a driveway. Yes, those are valid criminal charges in Orono. He had both of us charged, admitted that he's never had any law enforcement training. He also admitted that he had numerous people criminally charged over property issues. And I know this is true because we actually have 2 separate cases where couples like my wife and I were criminally charged as well for property issues. But more dangerous, more disturbing is the absolute fact that Barnhart stated that the Orono City Council prefers to use the criminal justice system when it comes to code compliance on properties. Now, you might say that's not a big deal, but you know what else Barnhart said? Barnhart admitted that every single property in Orono most likely has a code violation. Investigative Sergeant Stensrud stated that when these complaints came across his desk, he was given the probable cause statement by the prosecutor, and he merely signed off on it. Investigative Sergeant Stensrud stated outright that he didn't state outright, he wandered about the statement, but did not say that he investigated any of it. For these 3 criminal prosecutions we know of, the investigating sergeant couldn't be bothered to investigate whether or not the facts were true. Not only did Investigative Sergeant Stensrud state that he doesn't investigate, but he said that the Orono Police Department is empowered to make reports on property code violations. That's right. The Orono police are out wandering around Orono, may or may not be watching your property for violations. And it's crazy because I've actually seen an email where years ago I put a turbine and a shovel in the front yard just for fun. While the city was harassing me and going after me, I figured putting these things out there, maybe I could get a reaction. I had no idea I did until years later I read an email where Chief Farniak here actually put an APB out, all points bulletin, to all the police. Hey, if Nygaard's doing any work, you get your police car there this weekend. You aim it so that you can film it with your squad camera. All of this begs the question of what the heck is really going on up at Orono City Hall. We got a council over here who is more than happy to use a criminal justice system to prosecute offenders. Not offenders, not criminals, supposed property code violations. And we've got a police department over here that is more than happy to, boom, rubber stamp whatever comes across their desk. We got is police with no training or understanding of the code running around looking for violations when there is a violation potential on every single property. And we've got staff with no law enforcement training criminally charging people in our city. And I know this is true because not only did it happen to us, like I said, it happened to 2 other couples. And you know what? It might have happened to you too. That's just the couples. I bet there's a bunch more people out there that this has happened to, because when my wife did a discovery request for all the people they criminally charged in Orono for property violations. The attorneys responded that that was too burdensome, too cumbersome for them to produce. In other words, there's so many people that have gone through this, it's freaking ridiculous. If there's anyone else out there who's gone through this and wants to talk about it, please, please, please contact the Turbine Guy. My email's on my page here. You can get a hold of me. I'm in the phone book. Jay Nygaard, Go Green Energy. Find me. I'd love to talk to you. We do not live in communist Russia. We do not live in Iran. We don't live in authoritarian China. We don't live in any of those places. We live in the United States of America. They outlawed debtors' prisons for a while ago, but the city of Orono, it certainly appears to be, is bound to bring property prisons into existence, because you know what? These people can't be bothered to pay for their property code violations or enforcement themselves. They are specifically the richest community in Minnesota, Orono, the richest community in Minnesota per capita, has to go to the criminal justice system and spread that cost out among all Minnesotans. So everybody in Minnesota is paying for what these people claim are property code violations. To the libertarian part of me, there's nothing more twisted going on right now. I did not serve my country to live in a community that would jail people and prosecute people for property code violations. And when I was on the city council, when others were there with me, we never ever would have thought of doing this ourselves. But you know what? That's where you live now in Orono, and it could be you next. You better watch out. The cops might come by, someone else might make a complaint, and you could find yourself in criminal court for a minor zoning code issue. Turbine Guy signing off.